And we are live. Welcome back, everyone, to the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. Rolling out the first annual MLB Preview. Got my brother Richie Dorney from Long Island, diehard Mets fan. I have an idea who his World Series pick might be, but at any rate, let's start over in where his guys play. NL East predictions. World champions reside in the NL East. Defending champion Atlanta Braves. Got a very competitive division. A division last year that really beat the crap out of each other. You know, the Mets suffered some key injuries, setting a dubious record for having the most days in first place, not getting into the postseason. Obviously, the health of Jacob deGrom is so vital to how far that team goes. And Rich, I'm going to let you jump in on here, man. What is your predictions for your division going into this new year?
So I've been a long-suffering New York Mets fan. I spent most of my early 20s in the shadow of a juggernaut New York Yankees team, 90s into the 2000s. Once you got out of your the core four kind of world into the early 2000s, where they were buying championships. All I did was break your balls about that. And how the world has changed, because Uncle Stevie is by far the richest man in baseball. I think that sports broadcasters are referring to the CBT as the Steve Cohen tax. And
I hear they're bringing out Ted DiBiase to throw out first pitch for opening day.
Great. It's great. Maybe he'll make a kid cry in the stands like at whatever that WrestleMania was. My predictions are that we were only a few pieces away from being way more competitive, and we are stacked. I was pissed off that baseball wasn't happening, and now watching what's gone on in just in the last few days. I mean, we talk about free agency with the Mets, right? What's the most obvious one? Max Scherzer. Never in my lifetime can I ever remember that the Mets got the 1A free agent that was on the market, right? Matt Holliday went to the Cardinals. Jason Bay came to the Mets. I mean, I can spend a whole hour just with those. Then we took a depleted outfield, right? Conforto didn't resign, wouldn't take the qualifying offer, cried like a baby out on the field about how he wasn't going to come back, except, the option was there for his client. We signed arguably, I don't know, what do you say, top 3 center fielder in baseball, in Starling Marte. Everybody, including your Yankees, was on the board to try to get him. Kanya, also a corner outfielder from the A's, who's been pretty solid for them. I'd say an above average
versatility and a strong bat.
Grinder, right? Somebody that's out there doing what's expected. You have Nimmo presumably in right or left, Kanya, Starling Marte in center. I mean, that's a pretty solid outfield, plus a lot of speed there. You still have Dom Smith. I know we're going to get to this in a little bit, but it's all part of the conversation. Universal DH now. If you remember back to a few seasons ago when Dom Smith was getting everyday at bats, he was tearing the cover off the ball, right?
Short and
some of these guys, baseball is all about rhythm. Pitching, hitting, everything is keeping the same mechanics and keeping positive rhythm. I'm never in my life have I been in this position, right? So now Bassett just signed from the
Oakland
A's, right? So we have a 1A, a 1A plus, and potentially maybe a 1, right, in the starting rotation there.
Yeah, you got 3 guys, excuse me, that on most rotations are the number 1 guy. It takes a legitimate dip at 4 and 5, but you already got your top 3, and then you got Carrasco and you got Taijuan Walker.
If they go if you get 10, 11 wins out of both of those guys.
Oh yeah, you're in business.
And talk about in a playoff run, you get those three guys pitching. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's pretty crazy. I mean, Adam Ottavino signed today, right? Solid middle relief guy, former Yankee, former Red Sox, right? Positive there.
Knows how to play on the big stage.
You got that piece of crap Robinson Cano coming back. Now with the DH going, you get 30 bombs, 25, 30 bombs out of him.
What's scary is that we're at almost the 6-minute mark, and we haven't even mentioned the polar bear or Francisco Lindor.
I'm getting there. I'm
just saying, just in sheer depth, I must say this is the most talented Mets team on paper I've seen since the '88 squad.
So, Polar Bear Pete's going to be here. We're going to sign him. There's no way Steve Cohen lets him go anywhere. I mean, it's going to happen. You got today the clock starts this year on Lindor's 10-year contract. Last year was the end of his contract when we traded for him.
Yes, that was the final year of
Escobar from the Brewers, who was an all-star last year, is most likely going to play third. I mean,
now they're a business. All the pieces are aligned, and they got rid of the one cancer, in my opinion, which was Javi Baez. I don't think he belonged in the New York market. Some guys just aren't meant to play in that kind of environment, and I think he stands out as one of those guys, kind of like a Sonny Gray with my team, or like a Kenny Rogers. Certain guys just don't play well in New York, but I do believe that the hard part for Lindor is already behind him. Year one for most guys coming into either of the New York teams, more times than not, is always very tough when they're bringing in a legitimate, consistent all-star resume. I'm going to give you my quick rundown of how I see it playing. I got your New York Mets going 102-60, good enough for the 1 seed in the National League. I've got the defending world champion Atlanta Braves going 94-68, good enough for the 5 seed. Phillies 6 over 500, 84-78. I got the Nats 3 games under. I've got the Marlins 20 games under. But I've got the Mets and the Braves both representing the NL East in the playoffs. And we're going to touch on the new playoff structure in a little while. But right
now, I have a couple of things to add, right? So there's still some pretty big names out on the board free agent-wise. There's a lot of talk about Chris Bryant going to play with those worthless Philadelphia Phillies and that Skell.
Bryce Harper is really lobbying for him.
Bryce Harper. So I think that changes a little bit of the landscape of things, right? Zach Wheeler.
Absolutely.
It's unfortunate that we couldn't figure out how to keep him here because we would be lights out, but I'm not crying over spilled milk.
Wheeler. They don't really scare me over there in Philly. I mean, they got some good.
They don't really scare me either, but there's a lot of guys still out there, right? There's Freddie Freeman still on the board, Anthony Rizzo, Correa, Story.
I'm going to get on both of those guys in a minute. Actually, right now,
Bryce Harper is a career baseball player. As much as I hate him, he is.
I don't like him either, but can't take
generational baseball player. You didn't sign him to waste his career, right? So they signed him knowing they were going to put people behind him. So that's what I'm saying. As of today, I agree with what you're saying. I don't think the Marlins have much of a shot, especially with Jeets out of the picture now.
Mattingly's not far behind. Mattingly doesn't want to just be a cultivator of an extra minor league team because
I was going to say that they're a farm system for the rest of baseball.
Yeah, he's going to want to coach a contender, and Mattingly's going to get frustrated. Only 2 years moved from manager of the year.
What happens if the Braves lose Freddie Freeman? What if Freeman goes? I heard these rumblings of the Rays offered him a big contract or a contract before the lockout. Maybe he doesn't go back there. Maybe he feels disrespected that it wasn't done already.
Last year they won without Acuna, and I think the slogan this year, playing the underdog card, would be that they got to win without Freeman. Now, in my opinion, I think Freeman's going to the Dodgers. I think my boys are going to get Matt Olson, and I think Anthony Rizzo is going to Atlanta. We'll see how that plays out, but that's what I think is going to happen.
So I agree. I think I just have it a little bit different. I think the Phillies do better this year. I don't think that they're done. I think they'll be in second behind the Mets.
Really?
I think the Braves take a step back, but they'll be in third. And then, I mean, let the Nationals and the Marlins, fight for the bottom.
Well, we both decided on the fact that we got the Mets. What's your final record for the Mets? I got them at 102-60.
I think that's a little bit more than what I'm looking at.
I got only 2 teams winning over 100 games in all of baseball. The Mets are one of them.
I think we're looking more at like 98 wins, 64 losses. I don't think they crack 100. Listen, man, I'm still a Mets fan. Can't get too excited.
No, I get it. And it's a lot of pressure. Raised expectations for the first time in a long time of this magnitude. All right, we're going to slide it over to the NL Central. This should be a lot easier and quicker to go through because I know that the Brewers are a popular pick in this particular division. I'm just going to get my picks out right away. I got the Cards going 88-74. Cincinnati Reds at 85-77. Brewers, a little disappointing because I think they're going to lose Josh Hader. We're going to get into that. 83-79 for the Brewers. I got the Cubbies 72-92, 20 under. And I got the Pittsburgh Pirates with a dreadful 58-104. Those are
Cards, Reds, Brewers, Cubs, Pirates.
And essentially it's a 2-team race, in my opinion, between Cincinnati and the St. Louis Cardinals. I know the Brewers have been a popular pick amongst a lot of baseball experts. I don't feel that strongly about them this year. Even though Hader is one of the best at closing the door, the Brewers have been very cheap over the past few years, and I have a feeling they're going to deal him.
So I agree. I think the Cards are – I hate them because
I hate them too, but they're battle tested.
They're amazing, right? The organization puts out what I would consider, there's always been stars, pool holes. You can go through it, but I think for the most part, they are a collaboration of B and B plus guys at every position that grind it out.
And they play in the right division to be relevant. They have the most
classic National League baseball all the time.
Yeah, they got the most. They're not going to wow you with the record, but they're going to be there. And they're the kind of team that if they get in, they can make noise.
So I agree, Cards over on top, not because I'm a Mets fan, but because I'm listening to everything. There's talk the Mets are in negotiations to get Hader out of Brewers.
John will tell you, John Olson, a good friend of ours, diehard Green Bay Packer fan, diehard Milwaukee Brewer fan, and he's also our fantasy commissioner. He has been frustrated over the years with the Brewers' inability or lack of desire to spend money. And they have been in a lot of these playoff races where they don't do anything at an integral break where they can get some extra talent. And they've screwed their fans over in a lot of ways. Going in, I think the Brewers could be in first for a little while. I'm basing it on history and logic. So the Cardinals are going to win that division.
The other thing I'm going to quickly say about this division, because a lot of this lockout was based off of, you heard Scherzer talk about being vocal about these teams tanking, right? And looking at building from within consistently, right? And then we'll talk about profit sharing, revenue sharing. This division, besides the Cardinals, even the Cubs, because the Cubs were prior to, their homegrowns, Baez and Rizzo and Bryant and all these guys have been irrelevant for how long, right? For the most part, this whole division is a race to the bottom historically, right? They give away their star players. They bring in more players that may turn out to be something when they have somebody. They never go out and get the star free agent. They always stuck, and it's going to be this way. The Pirates, the Reds, these guys are chasing the bottom until they change the way that they look at building a baseball team, bringing in the right free agent, if you're one piece away, the Brewers. I mean, come on,
Last time the Brewers really won all the way in was when they had Sabathia as a rental. That's the last time I can honestly say, from a trade standpoint, trade deadline standpoint, that they won all the way in, and that's well over a decade.
Yep. And they had star pieces there. So I agree. I think the Cards are at the top of this division.
Yeah, I got to agree with that. I don't agree there. We both seem to agree, and I just want to say this quickly. I'm sure that on yours it's similar, or not, actually the same. The only team in this division I have representing and getting into the playoffs is the Cardinals, and I have them as a 3 seed. 3 seed because they win their division.
Correct. I don't know
better than some of these wild card teams, which I'm about to hit on. Just need to. Here we go. Bear with me. I'm just going to have to type this in real quick. We're now moving along to which, in my division, and in my opinion, this division is the best in all of baseball. I'm talking about the NL West, where I actually believe 3 teams are going to be going to the playoffs this year. And we are here. NL West predictions, we already alluded to the possibility of Freddie Freeman going over the Dodgers. Dodgers are a perennial powerhouse, loaded pretty much all over the field. There are not many holes on this team. Health could be a factor on the pitching staff. You got Walker Buehler still over there. Walker Buehler, I think, is going to be in line for a hell of a year. I've actually I made mention to you that I only have 2 teams winning 100 games. I got the Dodgers going 101-61. Good enough for the 2. Got the Giants 97-65. That would be the 4. And I got the San Diego Padres going 87-75. Good enough for the 6. I got the NL West sending 3 teams. And with the expanded playoffs, which we're going to hit on in a little bit, I have 3 teams going. I think last year the Giants were the best team in that division, but the Dodgers outlasted them in a very classic series. Both those teams definitely capable of winning a world championship. And, bringing back a very strong rivalry, not only from the West Coast, but was one that was born in New York. And your team, carries over colors from both of those former New York teams.
Yep. So I have a different opinion. I think the Padres overtake the division this year. I think that they have been building up to, kind of take over the mantle. I think that the Dodgers are on the wrong side of this run. There are some pieces that aren't, going to stick around. And Kenley Jansen is still bouncing out there. There's a lot of talk about I'm blanking out. The starting pitcher, their ace.
You talking about Clayton Kershaw?
Kershaw, and what's going on with him? Sorry, but it's only a couple of sips into the whiskey.
Also, Trevor Bauer. That's still murky.
Yeah, I was just going to bring up. I mean, is he coming back? Is he
my understanding? I do believe they settled out of court. Do not quote me on that, but I do believe that he's going to be available this year.
Well, like I said, I think there's a chance that things go south for them, and Scherzer and do they have the shortstop from the Nationals still, or is he
Trey Turner?
Turner.
Believe he's still there. I'm going to double check that for you right now.
So then, yeah, but I think some of the magic is gone from there. And conversely,
yeah, he's still there, but
like I said, the Padres, I think, put it all together this year. You're talking star power, and then the Giants, they were lightning in a bottle last year. I mean, I don't think anybody predicted them to do as well as they did.
Oh, that was shocking. I think I picked them to go 81-81 last year.
Is it possible for them to repeat that? I think it is. I think you're in cruise control, so we'll see. I mean, quite frankly, I'm sick and tired of the Dodgers. I'm tired of the Dodgers organization, tired of the Dodgers players.
One thing I want to say, and the reason why I've got those inflated win totals for two of these teams, I'm not as high as on the Padres as you are, but I'm still got them in the playoffs. Two of the three worst teams in all of baseball play in that division, and each team plays them 19 times. The other three.
Yeah.
That's part of the inflated.
Yeah, I get it.
Because you're going to beat the crap out of them. I mean, the Dodgers, the Giants, the Padres, and then you got the D-backs, massive tail off. I got the D-backs winning 54 games. I got the Rockies winning 50. I mean, those are two awful teams. Like they're like historically.
Story's not going back there.
God, nobody should want to go back there. That's what I got. That is what I got in the NL. Kind of fast forward ahead since that was our final division. My prediction for the NLCS is a rematch of 1988. I've got the Mets and the Dodgers going at it. Obviously, that would be a best of 7. And in between leagues, I'm going to hit on all these rule changes, some of this playoff format stuff. But I got the Mets winning in 7 against the Dodgers to advance to a World Series. That is what I'm predicting. I got your boys winning the NL. And want to hit on a few of these before we move over to the AL. Let's kind of let the viewer take a look at this real quick.
I'd like, just for a little just desserts, I'd like to see a Mets Cards NLC championship.
Well, yeah, I know that you got some revenge on your mind.
I don't see Polar Bear Pete staring at strike 3.
Yeah, bro. That Carlos Beltran thing is definitely a tough historical point in your team's history, more recent history. A couple of predictions I got here. League MVP for the National League, I'm going Fernando Tatis. For the Cy, I got your boy, Max Scherzer, with a league-leading 17 wins. Batting champ, I'm going Juan Soto at 336. Rookie of the Year, the catcher from the Pittsburgh Pirates. He might be the only bright thing on that team, Keibert Ruiz. Manager of the Year, once again, going to Queens. I got Buck Showalter. In home runs, I've got the MVP that I'm picking, Fernando Tatis, with 47. Just throwing a couple of predictions out there for what I think in terms of some of these talented players that are going to be getting some awards here.
I have a bunch of the same, actually. I think Tatis is going to be the NL MVP as well. I put down Juan Soto for batting title. I think Jake is, going to be on top of his form. I know everybody's worried about, whether he's hurt still or not, but I don't know if you saw what I posted yesterday. Max Scherzer said, in Port St. Lucie, he's here to support Jake, and he gets the ball whenever he wants. And
the thing is, he's going to be on unlimited innings to a level. And I think that's where Max is going to really take over and have that kind of year that DeGrom has been known for having. I think this year, Max is going to be the guy that has that year. And, he's won multiple Cy Youngs already. So, pitching deep into the season is not a thing for Max.
I like your pick with Tatis with the home runs, too. I
wouldn't be shocked if he gets up to 50.
Yeah, I think to be a homer, I think Alonso can be in that position now too. I think especially with the DH.
There's a lot more protection in that lineup now too. They got to around it.
Now you got to throw, right? I didn't really put too much effort into the Roy this year, so I'm gonna defer to you on that. But I think Fernando Tatis is going to be in a conversation for all of these for the next few years, man. It's crazy to watch him play baseball, and
he's just kind of breaking his baby skin, so to speak. Like, he's really still coming into his own. I mean, this is a kid that, as great as he is, has not hit his full potential yet.
I think we're looking at the same thing with Juan Soto. Unbelievable baseball player, great to watch.
Yeah,
we talked about this offline a little bit, but he turned down that 10 or 13-year deal the Nationals offered him. Something crazy. Now I'm reading that he might be the first $500 million contract.
It's absurd.
I hope he stays healthy.
This jerk Brett, for some reason, doesn't realize that he can comment on here if he chose to. Don't worry. DeGrom will be hurt for at least 2 months. Come on, Brett.
Great.
I'm not even a Met fan, and that annoys me. I want to see the best players play baseball. And Jacob DeGrom's one of the best. I don't give a shit who you root for. That guy's worth the price of admission.
For those of you who don't know, Brett, the reason he's not on the show is we don't have a stool tall enough for him to be in sight with a camera. So Richie didn't think it was appropriate to have, you have to look at the ground to speak to a little guy. So let's move on from this.
What he said. In between leagues, I wanted to hit on some of this real quick. Expanded playoffs. In the past, there has been a one-game playoff that has been incredibly controversial, where you could conceivably, like last year, be the Dodgers, win over 100 games, and have to play a one-game playoff just to continue because you didn't win your division. Some of these divisions are top-heavy. This is nothing's perfect, but this is a much better solution. What's going on now is that you have a best of 3. The 1 and 2 seeds now get a bye. 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5 in best of 3 series. So you have your 3 divisional winners, your 3 wild cards, best of 3. So if your wild cards are better than your division winners, which in the National League's case, that should be, considering that 3 is probably a lot weaker than the top 3 that the NL West are going to put out. I like that it's not just one game, because anything can happen in one game. Your pitcher could have a back spasm.
And there's no more of the tiebreaker for the season game either. Like the Red Sox and the Yankees have to play. It's all going to be by predetermined, whether it's home schedule or I don't know what the exact.
I believe that would make the main tiebreaker head-to-head, which is why they play 19, which is an odd number.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, because you don't want to play an even number, because that's how you could get those ties still. So that's a smart move on baseball's part, because there's no tie in baseball. Somebody's going to win. So playing 19, somebody's going to get the better of someone else. Rules changes. The shift, which a lot of people hate.
I hate it.
I hate it too. Bye-bye in 2023. This is the final year. So the left-handed bats could finally exhale and be happy about this. It is annoying, I must say. People are like, oh, just hit it the opposite way. Not that easy. Other rule changes, they're going to be implementing a pitch clock in the near future, next year, not this year. That I don't have the same energy on. I think the beauty of baseball is that there's no time limit on the games. I mean, I understand. But when you're at the park,
no one's going to complain about the pitch clock. No one's going to complain about the new bases.
Yeah, the bases are going to be bigger, yes.
It's, the pitch clock is going to be something they're going to get used to. And quite honestly, everything that I've heard, pitcher can step off and reset himself. So there's ways around everything.
Absolutely. And it's a trial and error thing too. And what I like that they're doing is they're setting it up, giving both sides power to work together in a constructive way if they want to change things. I believe it's like a 45 to 60-day window that they give them to like meet and figure these things out. But it's going to be.
Yeah, there's and then the committee's based off of 4 active major league players, 6 people from the MLB, and one
umpire.
One umpire.
Yeah, probably whoever is
Joe West. It's always going to be Joe West.
Joe West coming back this year, because I wasn't sure.
Retired.
He did retire.
Yeah.
He might be the actual still on the rules committee. I'd have to check into that a little more. Moving along to the American League. We're going to start over here in the AL East.
Are we going back to any of the new rule changes?
I mean, we can have that.
I just have two things that I really want to touch on.
Go ahead.
I'm super excited for one of them. The addition of the draft lottery,
Yes.
just like the NBA.
Similar to the NBA. Similar to that.
Now, like to my point previously, the Pirates, the Reds, the Mariners, these teams are going to have to start to look at their business differently and be competitive. Otherwise, there's not a guarantee that you're going to get that first pick overall. You may end up being the worst team in the history of baseball and have 2 wins because you're just going to keep getting the slide. So they're going to have to start building right with some of that revenue share, and that's the conversation that needs to be had. I think that is also a problem, right, for everyone who's an opponent of Major League Baseball now. Saying the generation that's coming behind us is not going to, they're not into it. It's too slow. It's you get these regional pops like when the Braves are about to win or whatever. Well, if these teams were parity like the NFL, where one year the Mariners win the World Series and the next year the Reds win the World Series, you consistently get a little bit of taste, right, and you stay active. And there's always a reason to be into baseball, and I think it's one of the best things that's changed in baseball in forever.
And
conversely,
the more playoff teams means the more possibilities, no matter how you slice it. And I do believe that that's going to be good for the game as well. And of course, it's good for revenue because more games is more revenue, more ratings, more all of that.
Well, conversely, something that I'm really against is these advertising patches that they're going to let be on the jerseys.
Yeah, it was bound to happen. I already saw it starting to seep in when I'm seeing a Nike check on a Yankee jersey. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
That man behind you there, as much as I hate that team, they don't even have their players' names on the back of those jerseys. That you root for the jersey. The last thing I want is this stupid Chick-fil-A cow on the side of the Mets jerseys. I'm going to be miserable about this. So I hope that they do away with it, but they're never going to, because I'm sure that there's dollars funding into players in the MLBPA, and ultimately that's what it is. I'm unhappy about it. Can I live with it? Sure, but I think it takes away from the history and what baseball.
I mean, just crossing over into basketball for a quick second, just to kind of hit on the same point. When I see that Walt Disney World's on the Orlando Magic jerseys out at the Magic game the other night, I mean, even in collegiate, Patrick Ewing, one of our favorite players, coaches the Hoyas, and he's got the Jordan Jumpman logo on that shit. And I'm like, dude, you can't escape this guy. Still working for Jordan, I guess.
There's another cool thing, too, where Major League Baseball is incentivizing the teams to promote prospects to the majors earlier, right? So if they get a certain amount of Rookie of the Year voting or MVP voting, there's an additional draft pick that's given to that team. So that was part of this whole thing, right? Scherzer and all these guys were trying to take care of the guy coming up behind them, and I admired them for it. But let's move on to the junior circuit.
Yes, sir. All right, there we go. AL East predictions. I'm going to talk about my team briefly. A lot of Yankee fans are freaking out because we are not spending in the same ferocity as our in-state rivals, in-city rivals, the New York Mets. I have mixed feelings on a lot of this. I think you don't necessarily have to break the bank with a roster that we have. There's some fine-tuning that needs to go down. I would like more depth to the pitching staff. I would like an upgrade at first base. I want Matt Olson. If we can't get Matt Olson, I want Rizzo back. But bottom line is, when you won, let's say, 90-some-odd games last year, we had a short stay in the playoffs. Boston kicked our ass. Your team there was a distinct disparity in wins, losses to us. You guys are doing what you're supposed to do, in my opinion, right now, given the owner you have, the long pockets he has. I don't necessarily think that the Yankees have to buy every free agent right now. We had the third best pitching staff in all of baseball, despite leading MLB in the most blown saves. Team still made the playoffs. I like our depth.
I thought you were going to say despite Spider Tack being removed from the game. Sorry.
Shit, man. I think Garrett Cole's going to have the kind of year, Cy Young caliber season. Big question mark for us, and something that we need to happen. We need Luis Severino to return to form. In his brief time last year, he looked like he was starting to be that player again. Defensively, we've got to be better. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Too many damn errors last year. But from a power standpoint, from a production standpoint, I think we have the right pieces. I think you were the guy that I pitched the trade to that I would like to see happen. I don't think it will. But I was a big fan of sending Joey Gallo to Queens and bringing back Robbie Cano. I don't care what's in his Wheaties right now. Cal Mill.
Let me tweet Steve Cohen right now.
I got the Yankees at 96 and 66, winning the division. I still think because of the very deep bullpen, even though the starting rotation does lack to a level in terms of eating innings, I am very fond of the bullpen we have put together. I got the Jays at 93 and 69. Good enough for the 4. Yankees, I got them as the 2. Tampa Bay Rays, coming off a 100-win season last year. I wouldn't call it much of a step back. I got them as the 5 seed, going 92 and 70. And, of course, Kevin Cash will once again be in the Coach of the Year category, suggesting that he could win again. Red Sox, I have them taking a step back. Still a winning record, 87 and 75 for them. The Orioles at 60 and 102.
Do they still play baseball?
Yeah, only when they play us, though. They've been like a thorn in our side for the past couple of seasons.
Talk about a team that thrives off the revenue share. Is Chris Davis still on that team?
It's a joke. And Buck had enough. Buck got burned out. That's why he left for a little while.
The Orioles are baseball royalty.
I know. They're linked to both our teams. Both our teams are linked to them. A lot of historical moments. I mean, you guys played them in your first World Series victory. We had many battles with them throughout the 70s and 90s.
The last out for the Baltimore Orioles in the World Series?
I'm going to take a guess. Was it Brooks Robinson?
Davey Johnson.
No shit. I did not know that. Former New York Mets manager. And guys, I got to say this. Anybody that's a baseball fan, check out Once Upon a Time in Queens if you haven't already. I don't care who you came for. That show was incredible. Any baseball lover should watch it. It was damn good. Really won in to behind the scenes of a very special team that year and a lot of phenomenal personalities. Definitely check that out. I got my boys winning this division, Rich.
All right,
and
so
I've got Garrett Cole going similar to Max with a 17-win season, leading the way for us.
you're not going to love this, and it's not me being –
Nah, bro. Here.
I think the Blue Jays, very similar to the Padres, I think they are loaded, and I think that with the addition of what's the pitcher that they brought in?
Kevin Gausman, but they did lose Robbie Ray.
Okay. So I believe that team is going to gel, and I think that they are some generational talents in there. I think that they're going to take the division, but not by much. I think it'll be a race, similar to what we saw with the Red Sox and the Yankees. I think the Red Sox are done. I think similar to the Dodgers, the pieces that they had that brought them there are kind of out of their way. So I think you see Jays, Yanks, Rays. So you have 3 teams coming out of the AL East going into the playoffs.
Yes, I do. Similar to the NL West.
12. So yeah, I'll go with that too. And then the Sox just because they're better, and then the Orioles are just batting practice for the rest of the division.
They should be. I mean, they were a pain in the ass for us last year, but so you have the Yankees finishing second. Overall, where do you have them in terms of wild card seeding? You got them a 4, 5, or a 6?
Yeah, I would say that they would be 4. I think again, I think it's going to be, also I think similarly to what happened to the National League East last year, and these teams are, it's like heavyweight boxers in the same division, just beating the shit out of each other. it's
Yes.
hard to get a footing. It's hard to get forward, right?
Because to be very honest with you, after the NL West, I personally believe it's the AL East and then the NL East, the Central, which we're about to hit on in both the American and the National.
I think in retrospect,
the competition.
I think in retrospect, we might have even undervalued what the Cardinals are going to do. I think they might even have a better record because they're going to, beat up on the teams beneath them. But
I think where the Cardinals are going to level out, and why I gave them that record is because I don't think they're going to do all that well against other elite teams from other divisions.
I get it. I'm in on it. Yeah, but I think you're right. I think there'll be 3 teams come out of here. The Rays are the only team that I can ever name that have figured out how to never put money back into their team, but still somehow stay relevant.
They have a great nose for talent and cultivating players. And, you got to give that man credit. Kevin Cash is so damn good. And even before him, they had Joe Madden. And before him, Lou Piniella got it started over there for the Rays.
Joe Madden and the shift.
Yeah, Joe Madden and the good old shift. All right, we agree on that, bro. We each got 3 teams going. I got the Yankees 2, the Blue Jays 4, the Rays 5 on my side of that. Gonna move it along to the Central. This is probably the easiest and quickest division to speak on. It's the White Sox, and then it's a lot of average and below average. We've got the Cleveland Guardians on my list, 81-81. White Sox are 98-64, good enough for the 1 seed in the AL. I've got the Guardians and Tigers both at 81 and 81. Did I say Tigers? Did I say A.J. Hinch? Did I say fuck you, A.J. Hinch, current manager of the Detroit Tigers? Got the Kansas City Royals. They're a pesky little bunch, competitive. They play hard. I'm going to give them that much. 78 and 84 for the Royals, and the Minnesota Twins at 75 and 87. Not much to see here. So I say we might as well just talk about the White Sox. What do you think about the White Sox? Shane Bieber's going to have a great year for the Guardians. He'll be an AL Cy Young candidate. That's all I got to say about anybody else not from the White Sox.
I agree. I think that the Tigers are going to be better than that.
They might be.
I think the White Sox are going to take the division. I honestly think that the Tigers and the White Sox could both make it out of that division.
Really?
Chance that, they may do well. I mean, they brought Baez in, the pitching staff over there, Fulmer, a couple other guys. They're a solid team. And I think, again, right, they're on the upswing. And I think after last year, and then you bring in a guy like Baez. I mean, look, Baez is
as much as I despise Hinch, he's a good manager.
Yeah, and similarly, right, like Baez came over here, thumbs down the fans, booing New York fans. But this is not Chicago.
Yeah, you can't do that. No.
So, but dude, he hit a lot of home runs here in New York, and
I love the way Dykstra tore him up, though.
Yeah,
Dykstra, that was Dykstra. Some people hate Lenny Dykstra, some people tolerate him, but at the end of the day, that dude was.
You don't come to New York and boom fans. Like, these people pay your salary.
It's a man's sport. This is a man's town.
Yeah, correct. That's why he's not here, man.
Yeah, you guys did the right thing. He was a little too sensitivo.
I think he would upset the apple cart with our generational shortstop over there. But yeah, man, I'm excited to see the White Sox. Again, a historic baseball team. It's good to see them back in what it is. But again, not to just keep beating this position, but now with the lottery and everything else, it'd be great to see these teams, that have history to come back and be there regularly. The Tigers.
I hear you, man. They're going to be in a position where these things can really happen. Now, want to make mention of this. I got Tim Anderson as my AL batting champ. Not quite the numbers, average-wise, of Juan Soto, but I do have him at 321, and I got him stealing around 30 bags. And he's going to have a great fielding percentage, as he usually does. Lucas definitely in the mix for a Cy Young. I got that. Lucas Giolito from the White Sox, kind of under the radar, not the household name as a Cole or a Scherzer or a DeGrom, but I would not be the least bit shocked if he could snag a Cy Young this year. But I am picking my boy Cole. I'm stubborn like that. But yeah, I got the White Sox winning this with ease at 98-64. And in my AL prediction, that would be good enough for number one. Moving it over, last but not least, it's the AL West. Team that I really despise.
Your favorite division.
Yeah, I'm picking the Astros to win this division. I can't stand them. But I got them going 94-68. One thing that I will say.
Let me ask you a question. Does that mean that you think Correa is going back?
Yes, I do. I think Correa is going back. I do believe that to be true. And I also think Dusty Baker has kind of cleaned up that clubhouse a little, bringing a little more respectability back there. Now, granted, I know he was the manager during the Bonds shit. I get it. But Dusty Baker's a good baseball man. I got them going 94-68, and I'm going to call this, I think, a real resurgence this year for Justin Verlander. A healthy Justin Verlander. I've got him getting back to and surprising people. He's going to be all the way back. And I failed to mention this with the AL East, but I also want to give a shout out to Chris Sale, my most hated rival Boston Red Sox. But I do think Chris Sale is going to have a quality season and show that he's still a great pitcher. But yeah, Verlander, I think he's going to do some big things this year. I got them going 94-68, good enough for 3 overall in the AL. I got the Anaheim Angels of Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, the California Angels. Team with many rings, many names. Leslie Nielsen, former umpire never mind. I got them going 91-71 as the 6th seed. Mike Trout's going to finally get into the postseason. Shohei Ohtani, what more can you say about him? Modern day Babe Ruth. They've got so much talent over there. And if your former boy Syndergaard could make an impact, they're going to be dangerous, dude. They're going to be dangerous. Got the A's at 84-78. I think they're going to be losing pieces, but they always manage to stay above the water. I don't think it'll be good enough for any playoffs, but I do have them with a winning record. I got the Mariners at 83-79. And I got the Rangers, who did some uncharacteristic spending, which I didn't really understand. I got them even at 500, 81-81. But yeah, the Astros and the Angels, I got them at 3-6, which would be a first-round matchup.
You think the Rangers are going to be in dead last in that division?
Yeah, I actually do, because I don't think they have the pitching. I really do. But being dead last and being 500 is not like that embarrassing, really, in that division.
I get it, but I mean, they made some monster moves.
They did. They did.
They got the
I just don't have a very high belief in them.
Colorado, the redhead, whose name I can't remember right now off the top of my head. It's great for a sports podcast.
You know what's fucked? I got his face in my head too.
Yeah, I see it. So if Correa doesn't go back to Houston and he goes somewhere else, right? Which there's good talk that he's going to do that because he wants to clear his name and go someplace wherever, win another championship, say that he's part of it. I think the Astros, they're losing pieces, man. They're Cole's gone, Springer. I think there's a good chance, if Correa leaves, that Mighty Mouse can't, carry that team.
Can somewhere else be the Detroit Tigers?
What's that?
Can somewhere else, if he does leave, be the Detroit Tigers and he reunites with his boy AJ Hinch?
Maybe. I mean, you're pretty solid up the middle.
You got him and Baez now.
Baez playing second.
Yeah, that would be pretty dirty, actually. That'd be pretty dirty.
So maybe. I think so. If he goes back, I agree that the Astros are at the top of it. Syndergaard could be really great for the Angels. I was pissed that he didn't come back to the Mets for the amount of money that he signed.
I give him credit for the explanation, though. You alluded to that. On
He
a
said,
pretty no.
yeah, which I'm going to tell you this right now. If he had a crystal ball and somebody said, hey, we're going to sign Max Scherzer and all of these other players and everything else, I have a really strong feeling that Noah Syndergaard would still be wearing a Mets jersey. But, Syndergaard is great to watch. He is great for a clubhouse. He is great for a fan base. And if he remembers that he is not a starting tight end in the NFL and doesn't need to be the biggest, strongest to throw, and he stays healthy, then I'll root for him. I loved him while he was here, and I'm happy to see him be someplace to be successful. Shohei Ohtani is unbelievable. I think there's a chance. He can go for it all, right? So he could go for a side this year and be this generate like fantasy player, right? We created him on the show.
Is with all this stuff with the universal DH, on days that he pitches, that's going to be the one rarity where they waive their DH to let him play. So you'll still get, quote unquote, real baseball, at least when Shohei Ohtani pitches.
I don't think that the Rangers are going to finish in last.
You might be right.
At minimum, they'll be in third. The Mariners, I'm sorry to say this because I am a big baseball guy, but I don't think that I could even name someone on the Mariners right now. That's how irrelevant they are to me.
Their movement. I happen to watch them. It's funny. Every time they played the Yankees, I just happened to be off, happened to be able to watch them play. A lot to be desired there, and they've lost people since that year. So maybe they're the team that's going to be in the cellar. Now, do you agree on me with now you said you had 3 AL East teams going. You got the White Sox going. That would be 4. So, yeah, we both agree on that part of it. And I guess you got the Astros and Angels going to the playoffs more or less like I do, right?
Or the Tigers. I think the Tigers could do it also. I think you can flop any of those guys. And again, it's a thing of 2 heavyweights at the top kind of battling it out. I think if the Angels can take the season series against the Astros, it might be enough of a hedge to put them ahead of it.
My sleeper team this year, nobody's talking about them, and I even ignored them when we went over that division. But just kind of pulling them out. I know that the Tigers made an immense improvement last year. The Cleveland Guardians have some good pitching, and pitching wins. Pitching keeps you in ball games. And I know what Bieber's going to do. I'd have to think about other guys like Tristan McKenzie. They have a pretty good rotation. We'll see. I don't have them in the playoffs, but I had them going dead even 81-81. But it looks like we essentially agree on this. A couple of things I wanted to point out here real quick. Rookie of the Year, I got Bobby Witt Jr. of the Royals. Manager of the Year, I'm going Joe Madden. Former player of Joe Madden, his son, Vlad Guerrero Jr. Excuse me, not of Joe Madden, of the Angels. Vlad Guerrero Jr., I got him going for 50.
Just announced to the world some news no one knew.
Yeah, and then I realized I didn't know what I was talking about. Vlad Guerrero Jr. is going to go for 52 bombs this year.
I think Vladdy is maybe the most pure power hitter.
I just realized that we had the AL East thing on the screen this whole time. That's all right.
Vladdy is going to be awesome to watch. Yeah, I think we're in sync here. Like I said, I think you can flip either the Angels or the Tigers. We'll see how it goes. I really want to see the Angels do more. It's such an interesting thing to show you how much more baseball is than just your talent or the ability, right? Because Mike Trout on paper is probably the best player in baseball all around, right? Has been for how long he's been here. The funny thing about him is he's like Tim Tebow without all the God stuff, right? Like he's constantly the good guy. He's doing the right thing. He's forever saying positive things. He believes in bringing people up around him to help himself rather than step on people. But at the same time, he's in no man's land, right? We in the East Coast rarely ever watch those games unless they're playing our teams or it's the playoffs. And I just don't think he's gotten the shine because of where he is. I mean, if he was in Boston or either New York team or Chicago,
And
wherever,
him hurt too. It kind of reminds me of Ken Griffey Jr. That once he got hurt, people started forgetting about him a little bit. That was pretty crazy too. And when you have a teammate like Ohtani, that'll happen quickly. Rich, I'm gonna post this up here. You mentioned it to me before we went on the air. We are getting under that 5-minute remaining mark, so let's hit on this quick World Series prediction. That's what you gave me. Who you got winning? Or is that even a serious question?
stop it. I got us winning in Queens.
Okay.
I also have several hundred Mets fans beating, garbage cans as it's happening.
Oh, shit. That might be one of those rare fucking times that if it goes down like that, I have no other choice but to root for you. That's going to be some shit.
Wow.
It would be a little bit of an overachievement, in my opinion, if we are to win the AL. But I do believe that it's very feasible that we could. I do think that the Yanks do have enough weaponry to get there. Now, I'm a lot of things, but I'm honest. And I'm not, I'm a
Want to
homer.
name some of those other things?
I'm honest. Mets in 6. Just being honest, dude. We would have games 1 and 2 in Queens, 3, 4, and 5 in the Bronx, 6 and a potential 7 in the BX. Excuse me, in Queens. I got the Mets winning in 6. It'll be great for the city. You guys get to avenge a World Series loss with the only other time that our two teams played a New York World Series. You got to go way back to the Giants and Yanks.
The Mets shouldn't even been in that World Series. That shows you how terrible the National League. I love Benny Akbayani, but
I will say this: we almost got that 2 years in a row because in '99 you guys could have got there too.
Yep.
You guys fought a hard-fought series, lost to the Braves. We seem to have the Braves number in the '90s. That's my honest pick. And the thing I like about picking your team against my team is that I might be indirectly putting the kibosh on your team. So we'll see what happens with that.
there's no kibosh.
Nothing, pal. I don't know how much debt we're going to get into. But if this happens, come on, dude. If this happens, we're going to one of these World Series games.
I'm not going with you. I don't have anything to do with you.
That wasn't very nice, pal.
Make you wear a David Cohn Mets jersey. All right, well, either way, we both agree that the Mets are going to win the World Series. So there you go.
This is a fucked up day in the world. Hopefully I put the kibosh on this. I really don't know what to say. I'm being honest, dude. I picked who I think is going to win the World Series. So if anybody questions me of being a homer, at least they know that I keep it real on this front. And listen, dude, my team has not been to a World Series since 2009. Far from anything to be upset about if we do make it back. And we'll see. But that's all I got for now. If you haven't, subscribe on YouTube, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show. Rich, thank you so much for being on, man.
Anytime, man. Spend time with my best friend, bullshitting about sports. It's always a pleasure to be here and have a good time doing it on my Sunday. And I know this is a baseball talk, but I'm just going to throw this out there. Fuck you, Brady. Go home.
Yeah, bro. By the way, Tom Brady's back in the NFL. I'm gonna hit on that tomorrow morning. Yeah, I mean, dude, if you're not gonna retire, don't say you're gonna retire.
Go home.
Aaron Rodgers reset the quarterback market on this shit. We're gonna see
what it's about, right?
how much is Brady gonna get. I'm out. He's out. We got 18.
Get on the horse. Go into the sun. Go bang your hot wife. Go the fuck home.
Yeah, please, Brady, put it down. Later, bro.
Deuces.
Thank you, Rich.